Good day and good evening, and welcome back to Roulettes Hangout stream with me, Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. So, as we're not as many here as usual, well, we'll see. Usually suddenly people appear. What's gonna happen is there's a bunch of dailies. I know. Shock. And we're going to be going through most of them. We'll skip main scenario, guild test, mentor roulette, and frontline. And as we go down, I'll try to grab people along. The way I usually go about it is that I'll go over to the pink platform over there. Be like, if you want to join me for this roulette, come on over to me. And then you just come over, and then I pull out a notepad, write everyone's names down, and grab 3 people, if there's space for 3 people. And then we try to make sure everyone that wants to play gets to play. And when we get to the like 8-man stuff, it becomes a little bit more chaotic because we often don't have so many people around that we can like rotate everyone. So it becomes a little bit like, how do we decide who goes again and things like that. So sometimes we don't change the groups and we just focus on getting through the trials and raids quickly so we can get to alliance raids and then everyone can play. And sometimes we have 2 groups, and that's why we have 2 platforms. Yeah, that's sometimes we have 3 groups, that's true. And yeah, that's basically it. I think. Galaxy says I can log in if you need more people. I mean, we will figure out how many we are and then we'll make do. It's pretty common that when we get to alliance raids, we can't, like, we don't. It actually becomes easier when we are just about the amount of people we need, roughly. Because then I can just bring everyone. So do not break your back to come in and fill the groups. We'll figure out what we can do, but we're just having fun. So you come over if you want to have some fun. And that's essentially what it comes down to. Let me just write down the location so you can find me if you want to. There we go. Now, with that said, before I completely forget, hey Taldemar, hey Bizadashi, hey Bubabet, hey Sork, hey Crab, hey Ilana, hey Agent Monica, hey Riftwalker, hey Teenley, hey Saros, hey Diki, hey Beans, hey Procrastinauts, hey Naomi, hey Leah, hey Crusher, hey Zaf, hey Prince of Angels, hey Fatman, hey Kaj, hey Sally, hey Jet, and hey Fila. Hope you're all doing very well. Zaf says, I'm trying to level my alt on NA and I have, in about an hour, so I don't think I have time to join today. Well, no worries. Now, with the prep and the starting explanations out of the way, we can probably get on to the duties. Let me just switch here. Naham, hope you're doing well. The stronger of your allies would be wise to draw the enemy's attention away from the weaker. Hey Dan, and Faith, and Kubamana, hope you're doing well as well. Right, if you would like to join me for Expert Roulette, come on over to me. You know, an idea I had. An idea I had, and I'm not doing it this time, but just a thought, is I could put names into the wheel of jobs and pick people that way instead of just go, you. Which could also be funny, in a way. Thoughts? Well, we're 4 fishers. Anyone have any preference on jobs? Hey, Daniel. Now, where is that quote from? That is a good question. I'm going to assume that it is from the Ivalice raid series. Hey, Node. Like, we have the Black Mage, the Paladin, the White Mage, some real classics, and then Machinist is here too. Team 2 got Clesium? Well, we did too. The game nice? Hope you're doing well. You're pre-made and you go into experts with a healer? Well, we like to have a balanced party. Sometimes we do something wacky, but not this time. We can do whatever we want. We have free will, and so we will use it. Hey Faust, hope you're doing well. It's Bachman. Oh, huh. Hey Nox, hope you're doing well. It's a pretty crazy game. You should try it.
You're a sight for sore eyes.
You're a sight for sore eyes.
We'll handle things from here. Take
Thank
care
you.
of the fisher.
Of the fisher? What bait is he using? Sunglasses with popcorn. Now, does it get any better than that? Hey, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing well. Somebody. Going to guess that it's going to point right. Indeed. Ow. Rainrope says, I think it always alternates. I do believe so. Right at the start, it seems to always alternate. What mechanic? Haha! Game 9 says it's weird how targeted dashes work, but not abilities like White Mage or Dancer charges. That is weird. I haven't tested those. But I think the reason my suspicion was I wasn't sure, but I was wondering if the slowness of those like non-targeted dashes was the culprit. Hey, go dance! Reaper works. Right. I feel like Reaper is one of the jobs that dash quicker. So maybe that's why? Like that's my suspicion. I haven't tested Dancer or White Mage, so it could be like an angle thing. Hey, Yazzle! But as I said, I haven't tested them, so, you know, the thing is, one person saying, well, it doesn't work for me, can be, you know, the classic skill issue, or not, like, just not knowing how it's done. So I don't know for sure, but my suspicion, as I was saying, is that it is possible that jobs with slower moving dashes might not work. That's also part of the reason why I, like, lean as much as I can, is because, for instance, ethereal manipulation moves faster the further away you are from your destination. So you can, like, really speed it up by leaning further away. Hey, Jeff Matt. Hope you're doing well. Ugh. Yeah, probably, Jeff Matt. The thing is, the way that it works, as I mention usually at the start of the stream, is that, like, you're coming over to where I am, like at my house. There's a pinned comment, and I try my best to get everyone along at least once. So if you're, like, not too picky, like if I'm like, come on over if you want to come along, and you're like, well, I actually only want to do leveling roulette, so I'm not gonna step up. If it's anything else, then if you're not picky, then it's pretty unlikely that I will miss you the whole stream. And if you're in Stormblood, you should have access to enough duties that it should work. Well, unfortunately, Jeff Matt, that's not something we offer here. Now we have a problem. Nope. Crusher's falling behind. Why did Short get so popular with the community anyway? Have you seen him? I think it's like one part, it's really funny that you meet bosses with these extremely long, detailed names, and then there's just this big, blobby guy, and his name is just short. Like, no explanation. It's not like that means anything. He's just there, and he's very big, and his name is short. Tandeman says, if you check the duty information, the short is not capitalized. That's also true. It's not even a name. It's just, that's what he is. That probably also adds to the meme. It's not Mr. Short. It's not a short. It's the short. It does kind of mean something, but not in the 14 context. Yeah, it's true. I have heard that it means something, but does it mean something that makes sense? Type of demon in Slavic folklore. Yeah, I guess it does make some sense there, but I think that's something people figured out to add meaning to the short after it had already become popular, right? Say dogs. I mean, to be fair, question: Do you think that Malphas would have been just as memed if it said defeat the Malphas? YN. I don't think. Oh well then. Do you think? Stop right there. Hold it with your demands, mister. I'll say Seraph and bread.
Carry out my will.
And Neo Greater. Larg.
Now for something different.
Now for something completely different. Oh boy.
Time to pull the strength.
That's an interesting pattern. You know, I actually tried to use manipulation, but I couldn't find my cursor for a second. So it just didn't work. I think for this mechanic there's always a safe spot for melees. Oh yeah! The reason why I was like, that's different is because usually the best and most reliable safe spot is between the two big boys. But there was like just a conga line of small boys between them, so absolutely not. Congratulations, Jeff Matt. That's awesome. We did it! And hey, Yannick. Hope you're doing well as well. Graham Galaxy says, I really like how this dungeon has some of the demons just inhabiting scrap roughly in their shape. Oh yeah. You know, a little bit of a tangent. But speaking of like classic skeletons of mobs in 14, you know how like often we go into this situation of like, oh, that's exactly this boss or exactly that mob, but it's just, it has a different like uniform on, essentially. Yesterday on the Grime stream, I ran into a boss. Actually, I ran into two bosses that kind of split toolkits from bosses from the first game. But one of them was a lot more blatant about it. It was like, wow, that it's basically like 50% or more of the exact toolkit of a boss from the first game. But then a little later, I also ran into mobs that literally used a slightly improved version of a toolkit from a mob from the first game. But they also used the same body structures. Like the moment I saw them walk like that and swing like that, I was like, you know, 14 style of, oh, that boss kind of looks like a something like this. That looks like a Minotaur Cyclops guy. I wonder if it's gonna use X-Ton swing. Oh, it will. Ah, fantastic. And it's a cone, you say, and then it's a circle. You know, the classics. Did we get out first, or did team 2 just mingle with the crowd before we had a chance to see them? Say my strife. Hope you're doing well. You just finished. Wow, we ran past you. Speed run. Shoom, shoom. Right, if you'd like to join for level cap dungeons, that's level 100 dungeons, come on over to me. Get on that platform if you wanna join, so I'm sure. Writing names. I think I got everyone. Right. Neamity, hope you're doing well. And Volter, you're playing a caster. You know what? Just for the beeps, let's see if we can make. Let's see how well Fast Mage works when all our spell speed goes in the drain when we get synced down. Yeah, it kind of works.
Ah, you've come.
I'll
begin by wearing.
It's Fast Mage time. It's been a while since I played Fast Mage, actually.
I've created a new endless for you.
If a monster in Final Fantasy has some folklore-related name, it is likely intentional. Oh yeah, probably. It's probably deliberate that it's called short. It still just, you know, doesn't change the fact that I'm pretty sure that people had latched on to how funny it was that it was just named short. before people were like, oh yeah, I actually have an explanation for that name. Like, it's a case of we find a name hilarious, it becomes a meme, and then in hindsight we try to give it meaning, you know?
The memories of a physician, one who saves lives.
I also
should be
think
reluctant to
that
die.
it's like the whole package. Not only is it just the chort, he's also like just randomly wide. Like, yep, that does look like a chort to me. Exactly. Man, I'm also hit padded? Oh man. What do I do now? Can't hit pad a lizard anyway. You just get stabbed by horns. You can hit pad Kai. Her horns don't point upwards.
Oh, you've overburdened the system. No matter. It served its purpose.
Hey. You know what's really awkward about Fast Mage is that in an AoE situation, you kinda need the double blank when you're in ley lines.
Next,
That's really what it comes down to. That's the jank
I need not compel them to
in
fight.
dungeons. And then on bosses, you might find that you suddenly have less instant casts to work with because you're eating through all of your triple casts and swift casts with that sweet, sweet Blizzard 3. And you also kind of need the double blank if you don't blank after fire.
These are loyal executioners. They shall deal appropriately with criminals. Your sentence is death. How long can you defy it?
Me or the bloody guy? Did you see how much damage it took? Your sentence is death. Boom. one of the bosses takes half, like, a third, roughly, of their health before they even get to do anything.
Criminals may run, but they cannot escape.
May criminals stand still and cast Fire 4? Is that allowed? Ugh, dang it. Oh, thank you. I'm catching up! Uh-oh. Bruh. Hey, Ardell. Hope you're doing well.
Beginning to tire. Good.
We did it, everybody!
You continue
And I
on.
only goofed up because of my ley lines. Hey, Weaver. Only if they slide cast. Criminals may run. Now, casters. They have to slide cast. No normal running. Apparently it's actually dependent on frame rate too. That somehow doesn't surprise me, but usually when it comes to frame rates, it's such a small amount that it's probably not something you'll be able to tell in most situations, which is probably fine. But that does not surprise me. But it is very cursed. Anything in 14 where you're like, actually, did you know it actually depends on your frame rate, is something where someone who knows about, like, game design will immediately go, how did they, how, what, why?
Protect your kingdom.
And to the degree that if you go and explain it to someone who's, like, for instance, new to the game, they're very likely to be like, no, that can't be right. That can't be how they did it. That must have been a mistake. And, like, you should show them, you can see here the difference. And people did the calculation, they're like, why? How? It kind of makes sense. Because the difference between whether frame rate matters or not is so small that in, like, A Realm Reborn, I have a feeling that there were greater concerns than that.
An amalgam of memories. Let us see how it fares.
Many mechanics in many games are affected by frame rate. Correct, but most of the time when you run into such a thing, it's usually something where, like, both players and to some degree developers alike will look at it like, why? That you can't possibly have overlooked the potential problems in doing that, can you? Like, my favorite example to point to for that was Code Vein. It has this attack you can get that is like a laser beam that you like shoot across. And it can hit a lot of times. But it checks whether there are targets at specific timings in the laser beam, which means that it technically only checks at specific frames in the animation. Which means that if you have particular frame rates, it hits less often. So it does less damage if you have certain frame rates. And it's to the point where the attack can be nigh useless on specific frame rates because it hits like once.
Without pause or mercy. The spark of life is dim with every blinding flash.
Uh-oh. I just now realized Vera died.
Death is everywhere, pillaging the promise of the future.
Hey, butterfly! Hey, cat! It says, I love game breaking when you run them at 60 FPS instead of 30. Oh yeah, that's also great. Also another great example. I think it just sounds particularly cursed because most of the time you'd assume with an online game that the design is such that the one that dictates fully when you get to do the attack is the server. You just have to tell it. And then 14 adds that extra layer of, well, actually, you can only say you want to do the attack one a frame. Oh, wow. Suddenly raid. Hey, Metapocalypse and raiders, hope you're doing well. Yeah. We're just doing some dailies in 14 today. What were you up to? You watched all my videos. Nice. Thank you. Hello to all the raiders. And if you don't know me, I do a lot of varied content in Final Fantasy XIV. Do some raiding, do some roulettes, do some dailies, do some discussions. Sometimes we play something else as well. But I also make a lot of YouTube videos on 14. You might have seen me if you've looked up a job guide or something. Butterfly says one of the exploits in this game is that you can selectively reduce your FPS to 1. I believe there's something where some mechanics can be cheesed with that. Matt says I got trapped doing the jump puzzle in the Stormblood place. Oh, the Kugane thing? Yeah. Oh, I remember the first time I was doing that tower. I think I spent over an hour on getting up the tower. And that was with friends trying to help with where to go. Hey, Ravenous! Short has the energy of the sunburned guy with the ice cream in Lilo and Stitch. He doesn't know what's going on. He just wandered into a shard. And suddenly he was a demon. It's your first time playing through the game? Ah, fair enough. Yeah, I came back around to the tower one day because, like, the Freed Company I was in decided to do a little outing to that. I don't remember the details, but yeah. It's basically how I ended up there at one point. Nowadays, I usually just, like, lose interest before I climb it fully. Like, fall down a few times, like, ah, screw this. I'll do something else. I'm hoping you I hope you're enjoying your playthrough. As I recently raised someone repeatedly to get on top of the tower. I had to do it twice because that someone released back to Gridania on the last race. That has had to be pretty funny. Name our song. Well, you get better with practice. 14 also is weird about movement. Like, I think the best, like, the most important information to learn about platforming in 14 is that, well, first off, you have two base speeds because backpedaling is the same speed as walking. You have the running speed. And then you can, adjust it with speed boosts and such. Not always, like some jumping puzzles like in the Gold Saucer, you can't use speed changing effects aside from sprint. But then the second thing, which is a little bit more cursed, is that your movement speed, when you start running, accelerates from 0 to 6 yalms per second. In, like, a really short time. But that is the reason why if you just run for a moment and then jump, you'll run further than if you, like, just tap it. Because you haven't accelerated yet. That's what makes jumping puzzles really hard. Because sometimes the distance is, like, this speed. So if you just go, whee, full blast, you'll miss it. It's so cursed of a way to control your jump length. And the jump itself is jump or no jump. It's not platformers where you can, like, jump higher by holding the button. And since I'd argue I've been enjoying it a bit too much, well, that's not a bad thing. There's a lot of content, so you might need that motivation to get everything done one day. Now, on that note, let's see here. If you would like to join me for high-level dungeons, come on over to me. Over Mia on the big pink platform. By the way, I see we both have someone with, it looks almost exactly like my Viper glam, and someone with exactly my Black Mage glam. they're multiplying. Trying to find the names that I wrote down that missed the previous goes. Well, we have the team 2 there. I saw that there was at least one person that had already put themselves in Team 2 that was on my list of queue people. We're enough people that we might have a Team 3 and a Team 4. Now, what dude did you all think we're getting? Playing on a controller gives you better flexibility for speed? That might be right. That may be right. Team 2 got Keep of the Lake. Zaf over here smelling a new challenger. Team 3 got an Amnesis as a Niter. Not bad. Do you still have the world records off for that? Yeah. Yeah, indeed, Major says big kind, small guy. Get away! Well, these pulls are certainly easy. I don't remember it being this easy. I just used one thing. A couple of people have been trying for it, but got unlucky on a couple of queues at the end. If I remember correctly, didn't you get the world record right around when the in the oh, I forgot that I have an AoE dart at this level already. You got your world record around the time where people were spamming leveling for relics, right? It was the day after the last relic step was released. Yeah. So for those that missed that, people found extremely quickly that the most optimal way to speedrun that step of the relic quest was to simply undress your character to the point where you had as low item level as possible, so that when you queued leveling roulette, and specifically you had to be not a full pre-made, because otherwise it'll just ignore it and go, I mean, you can do a 4-man Aurum Vale naked if that's what you want to do. It's probably not very smart, but hey, I mean, we're not gonna judge, and then just put you there. But if you're only a 3-man pre-made, for instance, it will be like, well, you're derfed, like, well, it could put you into Aurum Vale like that anyway. But it would certainly not put you in something like, I don't know, the Vault. So people used that trick to guarantee that they only got a Realm Reborn dungeons, leveling dungeons, which are way quicker to run than dungeons at any other level. So they would just unequip their gear, and the moment they were in the duty, they would just dress up again and just go for it. Just easy peasy. Which of course meant that a lot of sprouts were very confused by the insanity that was the random groups of like 1 tank, 1 healer, and 1 DPS pulling at such insane pace and so insane amounts that the rando in the party that might, you know, legitimately be a sprout couldn't keep up. But it was the fastest way to do it. And if you were a speedrunner, like, the rules are such that you must queue for these duties, I believe. And you are technically, to some degree, at the whims of what duty the, or rather, what players the world chooses, or the universe chooses to plant you up with, and just team you up with. And by doing it at such a time, you have a huge increase in probability to get some real turbo gamers. Does work, for example, if you're on that relic step that you have a level 32 tank to queue with? Yeah. Yeah, it does. In fact, that was how some players got around the problem of you can't use the trick if you're a full pre-made. Is you can easily if one in your pre-made legitimately is low level, then like it'll let you do the trick anyways. So yeah, you can. The only requirement is that you have the quests. Emotional support Sprout. Yeah, that period quickly demonstrated how absolutely insane pulls you can do if you feel like it. Because, like, a lot of the big pulls you see in, like, A Realm Reborn dungeons are not maximum potential, like, not maximum speed. It's really fast. Like, pulling nearly to the boss, just like that, is pretty fast. Pretty crazy fast. But it's not the fastest you could go. Like, for instance, Hawk Manor, it's pretty normal. Like, you pull into the room with a key. Maybe you clear the mobs there while you're there anyway. Then you move around to the next door, clear those mobs, open the door, pull the mobs up to the, like, just before the boss room, clear that, and then boss room. The turbo style that people started using was you pull the mobs around to, like, grab the key, but you just have someone grab it while the tank keeps going, and then, like, the rest of the party follows the tank, and then you reach the door, you pull the mobs away from the door, or rather, you pull the mobs at the door so that it's safe to approach it, and then someone opens the door while the tank just stays alive, and then you pull that all the way into the boss room. And then you clean everything. It can get similarly ridiculous in the cellar, where you like to just pull everything on your way to the last room. And if you can maneuver it such that someone can grab the key, like can unlock the door and grab the key, you would probably move the pack over to the boss door, open the boss room, fight the two bosses with whatever remains. Absolutely insane. Really funny. But presumably very weird for legitimate Sprout. Butterfly says, I'm trying to watch a Kai stream and I keep getting job-related phone calls. Well, are the phone calls useful or no? Or is it just annoying? Yeah, those pulls are really funny. I don't really do them if I get such a duty in, like, Mentor Roulette. If I'm the tank, I'll, like, very quickly determine that, no, I can't do it with that healer, or those DPS are not attacking enough, and things like that. So I wouldn't really do it unless, like, most of my parties are pre-made. But if we do get the... guess we won't, but if we do get a really low level, like a Realm Reborn duty, we might be able to try it today. Because as you know, the whole community are comprised of exclusively hyper gamers that can take those kind of pulls, right guys? Oh boy. He ain't say no. Good luck, Taldemar. Remember, he's talking to you. Why, oh you? Team 2 is already out? Oh, man! I think that's the fastest clear of that boss I've been part of. I think. Star's Breath. The hardest boss of Endwalker. What, why? Because room big? Room big. Defeated by room big. Yeah, very nice. Anyway, I'll be right back and then we'll get some more duties. In the meantime, sanity restored. I return! I return! By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the stream, over the YouTube side of things, it does help a lot with a like. You know, algorithms. Algorithms. Thank you so much. Hey, Mistle! Mistle! The mystical Mistle! How do they wind up in the morning? Which is your character, Jeff? You're doing an AR relic. Well, in that case, it's gonna be difficult. I'm not Luffy. Gum, really, really long arm head pad. Anyway, back to gamer time. I felt like I was watching One Piece. Don't worry, what's up, dude? I can't reach you. Do not worry. Thank you. Teleport to your location. Hello. Right. So, who? I'm assuming people are here because they want to join me for leveling roulette. But if you do want to join me for leveling roulette, come get on that get on that dance pad, I suppose. So many names. Hey, Chalombos! Hope you're doing well. When enough people get on the square platform, you get into Fork Tower. That would be crazy, could you imagine? Actually hold this level range. Challenge says, have you guys experiencing lag spikes during the World Cup soccer games? Nope. Is Behemoth an NA world? I didn't even use Tauco there. That's not good. I also just now realized you used Living Dead. My bad. I was too busy coordinating all of my own cooldowns, so I screwed yours. I'm very sorry. Behemoth is primal. I could see why that would cause problems, I think. But either way you slice it, that still sucks. It could be a routing issue, yeah. Bleow. 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 Team 2 got cast from Abania. Team 3 got the 83 Endwalker one. Oh, sorry, 89, yes. I was picturing 89 and then it said 83. I mean, that's what you'll get for going AFK in Alliance Raid Roulette, I suppose, right, Zav? Hey, Alice, hope you're doing well. I think we've gotten pretty good roulettes so far. Hey, Louis. Get Louis. We go to Bottom's Medal. Right. You know, funny convenience of Living Dead being used so early in the duty is that I looked at the duty time and thought, well, Living Dead is not ready yet. So that's not going to be used in this pull, that's for certain. Cultivate says, when is the new healer tank dual job coming out? What? The what? Like summon a scholar, it would be a tank healer dual job like that. Well, that one is never coming out. We have heard from the devs themselves that they regret making summon and scholar a dual job. So they're probably never making another one of those. At least not in that way. Congratulations, Louis, with hitting phase 2 of You Mad! Easy no stuff. Hi guys. Asymmetricon! Janumba says, do you think that with the reduced button load and evolved mode, we could see a new job more focused on dots or debuffing effects in the future? I think unrelated to the button bloat. Because you could absolutely have a job with a lot of dots and debuffs in a world with a lot of button bloat. Let's not forget that Summoner was a dot-focused and pet-focused job back when there were so many buttons that it wasn't uncommon to see 4 hotbars per player, not 3. It used to be worse. I think the real problem with a dot or debuff focused job comes down to 2 things. The first one is debuff caps. I believe a major component as to why they like reduced the amount of debuffs and so dots by extension that jobs had over the years is that when every job has like 2 dots each, you easily hit the debuff cap in content, which is not super great. And when they reduced the amount of debuffs and so dots, the whole debuff cap problem sort of just went away, and then it came back because turns out players also have a limited amount of buffs and debuffs they can have. So it kind of came back around Endwalker, in a way. The second problem, if we assume that buff debuff caps are not going to be a problem in Evercold, the other problem is simply that I have a feeling that, like, the thing is, and I'll admit, I also think it would be super cool with a dot debuff focused job. That's like every time people ask what kind of job do you want, I usually go to that. Like, we don't have a job that is actually focused on dots and debuffs. That would be cool because we don't have it. And it's something that I would like to have. I also recognize that part of the reason why we don't have it is because a lot of players, a dot doesn't, it's not very, like, it doesn't feel very impactful. It just kinda is there, right? So a dot job wouldn't appeal to as many players as, you know, another Bursty Boy. Mopsy, I have some bad news for you, but I'll finish my thought first. Basically, whenever a job gets like a big damage button, people tend to be pretty excited about that. With the big damage number, cool, right? People like big damage number. When a dot has a stupidly high potency, it kind of is just there, right? It's just there, existing. And that's it. It's just, it's cool. You can't really see the damage because it's just dot over, like, damage over time for a while. Like, aside from Final Sting, some of the strongest potency-wise attacks in the game are like Blue Mage dots, and for each like really strong attack jobs have, some of the strongest GCDs that individual jobs have can be dots that aren't like big bursty things. Like White Mage's Dia is like nearly, when you account for maim and mend on top, it's nearly 1300 potency, but we don't care because what we see is 95 plus 95 like 10 times, something like that. So for a lot of players, it just doesn't work. It's not very exciting. And the thing is, the reason why I'm not talking about the third option, which is the current problem we have, is that a dot job just doesn't work very well in the 2-minute meta. Or, well, I guess it could. You just apply really big dots in the 2-minute burst, and then I guess you maintain weaker dots outside of that, right? Thunder's 1800 potency now. When you account for everything, I believe Thunder is like... You know, let's check that. 750 times 1.3 times 1.27. I believe Thunder is like right behind Xenoglossy and Flare Star in potency. But it doesn't look or feel like that, does it? Now, to Mufsy Private's point, says, like, do we really need to see other players' dots on the bars? Should incorporate an exclusion for certain buffs and debuffs on UI. We have that. We literally have that. Now, do I remember where it is? No, but we have that. Display only detrimental effects you inflict on target. It's literally in the game, but people don't really use it because why would you hide potentially useful information? There's not so many debuffs that it's a problem. Some people use it, but not that many. But it's there. The reason why I talk about buff debuff caps is because for some reason, every unit in Final Fantasy XIV has a limit of at most 30 buffs and debuffs combined that they can have at any one time. If you get more than that, then you will dodge additional buffs, debuffs. I believe if you have so many that a debuff can't be applied, that the debuff will just delete a buff to make space for itself, but not 100% sure on that one. Point is, it's reachable on players. The only little caveat, or rather like a positive actually to that story, is that I've been told that bosses, specifically bosses, have like a special exception where they can have 60 buffs and debuffs combined. However, it's like a janky workaround. So when you pass the 30 buff debuff threshold, the extra debuffs are there. As far as the game is concerned, they're there, but they can't show you them. It can only show 30. But they're there, and they do work. But that's the problem, is that if you have a job that is like dot focused, it's probably cooler if it has more than one dot, preferably like maybe it has 2 dots, and then like the payoff is also a dot, and maybe it has like a debuff or 2, and you know, it will have Addle if it's a mage and things like that. So one guy could be responsible for like 5, 6, 7 debuffs, and suddenly it's a problem if you have like 4 of those in a duty, which you could have. Xenexal. Thoughts are only interesting in a combat system where the enemy also has interactions with it. I don't know about that. However, I personally find that dots are extremely lame when you don't interact with them. I think it's very interesting to like have dots to apply, but when that's all they are, it doesn't really do anything for me, right? In Shadowbringers, back before the Summoner rework, right? Before the Summoner rework, where Summoner still had dots, I would define and decree that Black Mage and Bard were better dot jobs than Summoner, because the way Black Mage interacted with dots is that it applied Thunder, and Thunder, every time it ticked, had a chance of giving you Thundercloud, which made your next Thunder do more damage up front, which meant that there was like an interplay between you and the dot. Having the dot did something for you aside from damage. But dots were actually the source of the repertoire effect. Nowadays, when you have a song running, every 3 seconds it will do a roll, and there's an 80% chance that you get a proc. If you don't get a proc, too bad. If you get one, great. And there's an 80% chance of getting one. Fantastic. Before Endwalker, the chance was 20% every time one of your dots ticked. That improved to 40% when you got the improved versions in your Caustic Bite and Storm Bite. Every tick of your dots, which meant that there was a potential benefit in spreading your dots on more enemies in an AoE pool, because if you're in Mage's Ballad, that could give you like a huge amount of Rain of Death, which you wouldn't have if you didn't do any dots. If you didn't put out your dots on anything, then your songs didn't do anything, aside from the few procs you'd get out of Imperial Arrow, which still guarantees it. Summoner's interaction with dots in Shadowbringers was that they had Bane, which could spread their dots at a lowered potency, but they could spread their dots just like that on a cooldown. Before Shadowbringers, it had a cost 1 ether flow. And then they have a Tri-Disaster, which was a cooldown that, well, to not get too deep into the details, essentially 3 out of 4 applications of your dots in a 2-minute window, you could just apply it by going with an OGCD, which was Tri-Disaster. 3 out of 4 of your applications was just you going, done. So, essentially, back then, a bard had to, I believe, use Iron Jaws like 4 times in a 2-minute window to maintain their dots. A black mage would have to use a Thundercast like 4 times at least. A summoner had to apply each of their 2 dots once each. And if they forgot, done. Like, you just miss 1 out of the 4. Because the 3 others was just an OGCD, just went, nah, done. They barely interacted with the dot. That's the reason why I say I don't really consider Summoner of Shadowbringers a dot job. Way back in the day, if you go into the history books, in like A Realm Reborn and Heavensward, Summoner's filler damage was so terrible that if you asked, okay, Summoner, there is a cross-class action you can have that is a dot. I'll take it. Give it. Because their filler ruin did so bad potency that it almost didn't matter what the attack was. It was probably better. That's how Summoner became sort of a dot job. Is that it didn't really do anything once it had applied its dots. It was just, you know, like just waiting to do it again. And then Heavensward gave them Ruin 3, which did way more damage. But that was an MP management situation. Where their Dreadworm Trance, I believe, made it cheaper. And then, like, they found out that, hey, giving Summoner big damage makes people happy. So Stormknot, they gave them a bigger thing in Bahamut, and then in Shadowbringers, they gave them a bigger thing in Phoenix, and then they went, why don't we just do that? And that's kind of what I mean when I say that it would be really cool with a dot job. The problem is that a job with a dot is kind of like, even if it's a really strong dot, players will be like, eh. But if it's an attack that just does a lot of upfront damage, it's very noticeable. Can you not design the same mechanics without dots and only self-buffs and procs similar to Viper? I'll say Ridley-in. And Shaq. And Vadi-chan. Yeah, correct, Vadi-chan. Exactly. Are these kind of dot mechanics only cosmetic in the end? Can you not design the same mechanics without dots and only self-buffs and procs similar to Viper? I don't know for sure. See, the thing is, if a dot just does damage, right? If it just does damage and doesn't interact with your kit aside from that, then a dot is effectively the same as a cooldown where its charge time and use amount is 1 per enemy per the duration of the dot, right? So it can kind of work like that. That essentially, in a single target situation, whether Black Mage's Thunder, High Thunder, is an attack with a 30-second cooldown that just does 750 potency like that, or is a dot with no cooldown, is kind of same-seas, right? Doesn't matter. But once you have 2 targets, it becomes more interesting. But it doesn't change the fact that it's, like, very much a side thing, right? Anyway, really long tunnel about dots. I'll see you, Varian. I hope they tie their raise to Phoenix phase instead of completely removing it. I will say, just as a last thing before we get back to the duties, that a common suggestion for Summoner to add something cool to it is, why can't we just give things like the raise as like an OGCD during Phoenix, so it doesn't have to come at a cost for the Summoner? And it makes it more balanced, and Red Mage also has to get some sort of rebalance, so it can't just spam the raise and whatnot. Is that... Now, this is not a raise, but try and run a max level duty as Summoner. And tell me how many times you either didn't use Lux Solaris because it wasn't needed, or you used Lux Solaris but it barely did anything because it wasn't really needed, or how many times you summoned Phoenix and didn't know who to give Rekindle to, aside from just dumping it on the tank, because it'll probably help them somewhat. Because that's how it would feel. You'd be like, oh boy, I have Phoenix in a little bit. Oh, but no one's dead. And then right as Phoenix leaves the arena, someone dies, and you're like... So it would only work in a system where Summoner has more freedom to choose what they do. Like, for instance, if Summoner has, like, some sort of system where, like, they summon their smaller primals, like, they summon a Freed inside the Garuda in some way, and that builds a resource that allows them to summon the greater summons, like Bahamut and Phoenix, and they can hold 2 of them. Then they could hold 1, and then you should just use Bahamut whenever they hit 2, so that they can hold the other one in stock. And then if someone dies, they could go, Phoenix! Res! And then it just works. Then we can talk. But as long as Phoenix is like something you can't control, not really. This idea sounds really good, but it wouldn't work. It would feel very bad. Caetsu, that's very possible in evolved mode. That's correct. The key thing, that the reason why, when I was saying that potential caveats to dots is not including over the 2-minute burst, is because in Evercold there won't be a 2-minute burst. You just do whatever. They could straight up just make a dot job and just roll with it. That could work. Anything is possible in unknown land. Anyway, see here. If you'd like to join me for Trials Roulette, come on over to me. So many people. So many people. Naming issues. What a name! Miso has chosen to become the team captain for Team 2. There's actually specifically Miso that I mentioned earlier that I looked at my list. And then there was a... that, like, I saw the name, I was like, well... Mate Team 2, can't help you there. Kansas can't wait to be drip-fed more ever-cold information, right? I say dead man. Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go right now? Oh. Hello. Check out this incredibly complicated rotation, guys. Mograine of death. His Metricon says, I hope they don't show more of Evolved Mode until they have it more complete. I could see that. I wouldn't mind specifically seeing some of the jobs that the things they have revealed had caused a lot of concern about. That's really what I want to see. But aside from that, I agree with you that it would probably be better if they just show us things that they're pretty done with. Right? Hey, Flims. Team 2 got Garuda. Huh. Very a Realm Reborn. King Mark. That's also a Metricon concept. We don't know what parts are meant to be like that and what parts are like not completed stuff. The thing is, what we can go for there is we can try and assume that the things that they're showing us are complete and then just hope that it's good, right? We can at least assume the things that they're like emphasizing are things that they hope is going to be like that. That's also why when I've been talking about it, that I can be like, well, we can see on their hotbar that this button exists, but they didn't click it, so... Like, for instance, we saw a demonstration of White Mage, right? Did anyone see Holy get cast? No, we didn't. I was like, Roy. Tank the damage! Kill the boss! Get him! I think we'll just do the same team for normal raids. And then we can figure something out for alliance raids. Oh! You know, that is a good point, is Metricon, that the filler for Dragoon is literally just mash one button and it doesn't do anything. It's just, it's the ultimate, it's filler. Swing, 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 swing. Did Group 2 get the accursed mob rush from Alexander? Oh boy, another one! With these short reawakens, I can totally fit a third one. I'm sure it'll be fine. I should have spent a coil earlier. I think my buffs are just barely gonna run out. Yep. It almost worked. But I really wanted to set up that triple, so I didn't actually have the time. Oh, hello! Mari's not having a good time. I'll go over here. Hey, Caetsu! Oh. Wow, okay. I just got ganked by loot. Mr. says, I had the Zero boss fight the other day, and I honest to God genuinely had forgotten about that fight, that I thought I had loaded into a different game. Where am I? What is this? Fatman says, I remember when watching the showcase thinking to myself, I kind of want this stripped down no UI elements version of the job gauges as an option. Well, I mean, you can't quite get that, but, you know, you can get, like, the simplified gauges like this. You just have to, like, choose them. That's okay, Naomi. It's a classic. It's funny. Grab Galaxy says everything is so much faster with the community. But that's what I mean. Like, the average player in the community is pretty much very above average. It's very good. So the duties go faster. Yeah, I could see that, Caetsu. I think that's essentially like the diff between Arcadion and Pandemonium is that Pandemonium is trying to tell a specific story, whereas like, I mean, Arcadion is also trying to tell a specific story, but the whole point is the variety and differences between the bosses. So it would be difficult to make that work without it like kind of taking away that like each boss kind of want their own theme with how different they are in Arcadion. Right, so let's see then. Let me do this. If you'd like to join for Alliance Raid Roulette, come on over to me, and then we'll figure out how many teams we need to make. I think Yazzle said he was AFK. How about Agent Monica? Do you not want to do Alliance Raids? I'm counting 16 as we are, so we would need to make... I'm counting 16. So we'd need to make 2 parties. Anyone that wants to lead party 2? Me dreaming of Shadow. Gold says, I don't know why they decided with jazz music in a Latin America theme expansion. Dawntrail, yes, I want. Dawntrail, yes, I want to hear New Orleans, and Las Vegas. Well, I don't know. Did the Endwalker Old Charlian theme give you mega Greek vibes? I don't know. It's not exactly the first thing I think when I think Greece. What theme of music do you all think of when you think of Greece? Right. Oh, whoops. Oh, we're going with this. How many do you have over in Team 2? Are you 8? Because I don't dislike jazz music, but the vibes aren't there. I mean, they decided to make an area that was inspired by a thing, and they decided to combine some different things to make something new, I guess. Just making sure there isn't someone who was missed, right? You're 8 on the platform as well. I think so, yeah. Right. Make sure to open the duty finder, everybody, and make sure to check the alliance raids and see that it says that you yourself are eligible for alliance raids. Because if you're not, then it will tell me someone in your party it didn't do their homework, and then it will fail us queuing. And we're trying to queue it together, so we kind of need it to work first try. Make sure you checked yourself. There is a possibility it won't work just because, like, maybe we don't have a full overlap of duties and all that. But I think this should be fine. Right. Team 2 has done already, check? I'll do an extra ready check. I'm looking at both chats, waiting for a yes from Team 2. Yep. We queue when it says 57. Why not just make a party finder for alliance raids? Because you cannot queue for alliance raid roulette if you're more than 8 players under any circumstances. You cannot do the roulette if you're more than 8. And because we don't want like 8 strangers in our huge alliance from Party Finder. We want them from Duty Finder. Unfortunate. See, Ganymede? That's true, Ganymede. That is true. We would all have that. The thing is, normal raids where it can get janked up by there not being enough overlap. Bwah, bwah, bwah. Yeah, same, Insano. I believe the day that we learned this was this one time on Small Kai. So that's like years ago, right? We went to OZE because that's where I usually did stuff on Small Kai, because then everyone could join once that was possible. And we wanted to do Alliance Raid Roulette, and we tried to ask, and we quickly found out that, I mean, you can do Alliance Raid Roulette, you can try to make multiple teams, but you literally specifically cannot just make a full party finder and then make it work. That's not how this is going to go down, ever. It's really weird. But yeah, if you read the fine print, you'll see that it specifically says 1 to 8. Oh boy. Oh. Wait, what? Why did it not hit me? What? I'm pretty sure I was in range. What? I guess Ram's voice has a max target cap. But I thought it would have been more than 24. That's really funny. shield absorb the entire damage? Oh, well, that explains. Nox says, in other news, I do not recommend having to take fiber supplements. It's like drinking wood chips. Ugh. Anyone up for some wood chips? Oh boy. Brave. the current tank just decided, nah, the death won't go through. You gotta try wood chips at least once. I mean, I guess. Here we go. Hope you're doing well. Such an epic rotation from Paladin. And a 2. And a 3. Whoop. Finally get to see World of Darkness least played raid in 14. World of Darkness is gonna get crazy when Evercold comes out. It'll be absolutely insane. Open! There's a healer in Alliance A who got mad that a limit break was used on the thing we just on the boss or on the holes on the void portal things. Which is funny because like what do you want to use them for? On the random mob? Like on the mini boss guy himself? Why? Is that important? Especially because limit break resets the moment you pull this boss. Must be a first timer? Could be. Except they're in Astrologian. Say Roulettes. Hope you're doing well. Don't mind me just scissoring in chat. Thank you for the Giga emote. It's pretty good. Uh-oh. Exactly. That's also what I said, is like, the lat limit break? That's pretty common. Well, Mr. Tank didn't listen to the advice of the machinists, so I'll show them. I mean... That limit break could have been used on the boss to pull it. The MSQ Roulette Classic. Or at least it used to be. Somebody think of the limit breaks. Hey, Tiende, just what are you doing the roulettes for, by the way? Fun? Your Honor, I plead it's funny. Thank you again, Roulettes. That's ridiculous. There happens to be a big nut in the chat now. Indeed. That version of that mob through the frontal cone. Yeah, the big muscly man, he does do a frontal cone auto attack sometimes. Well, I don't know if it's an auto attack, but he does do the thing sometimes. If everyone went in the belly, I had plans to go in the belly. And technically, the ABC formation strat is that Chain's tanks the boss, because B tank is supposed to go in the belly, and A tank is supposed to tank ads. But we all know that A tank is a first timer and probably doesn't even know that there are ads to be tanked to begin with. Isanya says, how do you go in the belly? The way you do it is first you get hit by this gastric juice, which makes you small. Then you're small. Then you go in the goopy goop. If you're small, you go in belly. If you're big, you die. So you have to become small, and then... Ta-da! It's not very clear. And these days, a lot of people have just, like, concluded that it's easy to just go for it, and then just hope people get it. Oh! The B tank is actually doing the chains. Nice. Ninja says, one of my friends categorically refused to go in the belly. You'd be surprised how often it's a problem for him in video games. Yeah, I could. Good luck, Zaf. You can do it. Beat that ultimate weapon. Serve him some tacos. Some big fat tacos. But yeah, I could imagine how often that would be a problem. That Sprout Viper? Which one? Which corpse are you recognizing? Shockingly common trope in video games to go inside monster. Enter monster! Oh, there's only one Sprout Viper, I see. Metallic Eye. Now, that's a weird emote, Verilus. But thank you. Don't help, chat. You know, for such an emote to exist, I'm sure that there's a story behind it. Lance says, would you like to know when was the last time I wiped on Cerberus? I would. Was it perhaps because a party either A, didn't go in the belly, or B, greeted too hard on the chains, so Cerberus just stopped having an upset tummy and then just killed everybody? Or C, whatever happened to you? Yesterday we were 2 healers only in the belly from Alliance A and C. Yeah, that would do it. complicated rotation. Oh man. Oh, such a complicated rotation. Wow, this boss really has some mechanics, guys. Did you notice that she skipped the part where she teleports away and then blasts you? Did you notice that? But that means we don't skip this. Oh boy. Blarg! Riveting gameplay. Oh. I got everything! Right. I will be right back, and then we'll probably look into Windurst. In the meantime, sanity restored. And off to Neverland. Hello guys, I'm back. I have returned. And says, and after you wiped, someone said, A adds, B belly, C chains. I responded, yeah, that, or everyone that knows how it works goes in and we don't wipe. People were shocked and outraged. What I'm thinking about is, was the someone who gave that lecture the other healer that was in there with you? Were they on ads or chains duty? Or what's going on here? That's ultimately what it becomes, procrastinauts, because it doesn't matter that you have some smart strategy. Ultimately, it will always be go in the belly if you can. Hey, Dragon Kid! Now it says, I took your advice from a couple of weeks ago. Stop trying to level one ranged melee healer tank before running savages. Now, with the help of someone in your Discord, cleared my first savage M9S. Congratulations! Who helped you? Who helped you? Let's hear who it is so we can praise them too. But yeah, ultimately for Savage, you don't need to have learned or leveled every role. In fact, just focusing on optimizing the role that you want to play is good enough. You know, just try to optimize it as much as you can. It's a dancing cat. My. Nice. Wait, Mai. I don't remember us having a Mai, but I do remember us having multiple Mias. But good on them. That's awesome. Right. So, let me see here. If you would like to join for Windurst, which is the newest alliance raid, come on over to me. Come to the platform. And if you don't want to join and you are on the platform, please exit the platform. Don't think Group 2 is out yet. Oh, whoops. In that case, I will wait. We can see how many we need. Where did Group 2 land again? Oh. Well, that'll be a bit. Echo Dancers, I wanted to extreme someday, but since I only beat Titan normal yesterday, I've got a long way to go. Yeah. Yeah. For now, I don't know how challenging you found Titan normal, but for now at least, there's plenty of things coming your way one by one. Got enough time for Black Mage weird optimization tips? Oh sure, where do we start? No worries, Rust. We could bring up the tip Taldemar asked about at the start of the stream. Or just before the stream started, actually. So Taldemar said, in a dungeon context, if you have a flare star stocked at the end of a pull, is it better to hold that to send on the next pull? Or should you just, you know, cut your losses, transpose Umbral Soul and all that in between bolts? I say, Morizane. So I remember that I ran some numbers on that. And I don't remember the numbers exactly, but I do remember that if it is a single target context, and the context I brought it up in was specifically, let's say that you're fighting a boss, there's downtime, enough downtime that you can do whatever you want. Like 15 seconds or something. Black Mage can set anything up pretty much in 15 seconds. The question then is, how much fire state is worth saving? And as I recall, the full true answer is, of course, that depends on how long there is until the next break. Like, ultimately, if saving whatever you have will lead to you finishing the fight on an astral fire state, then perfect. If you resetting leads to you finishing on a fire state and you not resetting leads to you ending on an ice state, then you should reset. Much more complicated, right? But one thing that I found for certain is that one thing that people often get caught up on is, well, I've worked so hard to build this flare star. I have it. Should I, you know, hold it to throw right when the boss comes back? And my calculations state that in a single target context, if you only have one GCD remaining of your fire state, so Despair or Flare Star, you pick, then no, it is not worth keeping it. It's actually better time spent to reset, so that you get more bang for your buck. You get more spells, ends up being better value. That is my calculation. Yeah, all roads leads to depends on kill time, but in basically so many situations that you don't have to think about kill time to get a proper answer. If you only have Flare Star left, then no. That's not worth it. Generally not worth it. But then the question was about dungeons. I don't know for sure if it is worth just hold a Flare Star in a dungeon context, like if the next pull is a pack, as opposed to a single boss. If it's a single boss, no. If it's a pack, hard to say. However, counterpoint to that, Asymmetricon says, if you ever find yourself in downtime with Flare Star progress, the answer is 99% of the time you should have dropped the Paradox or used an extra Flare to get the Flare Star out earlier. Also correct. That is the true answer, is that you shouldn't have found yourself in that situation. Very true. But in a dungeon context, my perspective on it is, if you finish a pull with a Flare Star ready, and the next pull is AoE, I mean, I can see the logic of, well, then I can use the Flare Star. Yeah, but the pull will start with like 2 or 3 mobs like spread out in the room. Are you opening with Flare Star hoping that it'll hit all of them? I don't think you are. And if you reset to, you know, ice mode, if you really want to, you can probably triple cast and just go Flare, Flare, Flare Star, and that Flare Star is more likely to hit more mobs anyway, so... And if you have a longer distance until the full pack, you could also go, you know, you start from Ice, Paradox a guy, Ice Paradox, Thunder some guys, Transpose, maybe you have a Fire starter from earlier, maybe you don't, doesn't really matter. Either you go Fire 3 or Paradox, Fire 3. Doesn't matter. That's 2 more instant GCDs. Maybe some more Thunder if more mobs join the fray, or maybe you Thunder 1 to be 4. And then you could Swift cast or triple cast the flares if you're still moving. But yeah, point is, unless you have extremely detailed insight on the duty as a whole, you should not carry a Flare Star over. As Asymmetricon put it, that was probably the most, if like the most optimal answer is, question, if I find myself finishing a pull with a Flare Star ready, what do I do with it? Answer, you ask yourself what went wrong for you to put yourself in that situation, because you shouldn't have. Kotaka says, are we hyper-optimizing dungeon content here? Isn't that rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic? How much could it possibly matter? Look, man, Kotakis, some people think it is fun to optimize these things. And we're not necessarily optimizing dungeon content. We're optimizing Black Mage. And one of the kinds of situations you could be put in is AoE pulls. Could be anywhere. Like, you're asking yourself how much could it possibly matter, as if the only justification for optimization is that it is useful. Forgetting that a huge, like a colossal amount of hobby optimization in the world, gaming, is because people think it is fun. That's the reason. That's why. Some people also just enjoy knowing that they're doing the best that they possibly could. And, I mean, you could save some time. It still says the Stardew spreadsheets don't just appear because people want to min-max. It's just fun for them. Exactly. Resonald says, I'm all for people having fun with optimizing. It just becomes a problem when they demand it of all players in all things. Then you're lucky that the people that you see demanding that are a very vocal minority, and even the many of the optimizers are also laughing at them. Thank you for the 5 gifted subs, Beans. Thanks so much. Nice. Now that's a way to conclude a statement. Mic drop. Echodan says, my life goal is to fumble my way through the free trial because I have no clue what optimal stuff even is. Well, the good news is that you have found one of the right places to find both a lot of optimization just for the sake of it, but also a community, a community even, that is self-aware enough to say, yes, you can do this. No, we're not gonna, like burst a fuse or something because you don't. I'll say, Coco, hope you're doing it well. Hope you're doing well. I made it just in time for dailies. We're actually waiting for Team 2 to finish their alliance raid, and then we're going into the weekly alliance raid. Quick plug the Discord. Indeed, that's a good point. I mean, you could. I don't know if you have it unlocked, Kyoko, but that's what's next on the list. But let's just say, when it comes to Black Mage optimization, I appreciate all of the community, Coco. You know that, surely. It's just difficult when we do dailies for 2.5 hours. Then we can't exactly do the same dailies again. We're just kind of surprised, but people haven't optimized Windurst yet. Do people optimize specific alliance rates in that way? I think I've already heard stories of like all healer groups and such for things like Windurst. Hey, Amanis! Hope you're doing well. Hey, as of 2? I have a silly question. So whenever I play tank, I struggle to keep steady aggro on the boss. One of 2. For example, whenever I queue a trial or normal raid and the other tank uses stance, they end up catching up to me and they end up taking the aggro off of me. Yes, I have my stance on as well. Are you currently playing through the game for the first time now? Like, are you Sprout? Are you a new player? Also, caffeine. That's a good point. It would be surprising if people haven't been optimizing some level of speedrunning Windurst because of the emote. Caffeine says, I did a Windurst with only casters a couple of weeks ago. That sounds really difficult. I'm almost 3 years now, but I'm fairly new to tanking. Is your gear... So, what level is the... what tank do you play? What level are you? And what gear are you wearing? Like, what kind of item level are we talking here? Like, if you're level 50, are you wearing full Ironworks Magitech? Are you level 60 in the Idol Shirt gear? Like, are you wearing Predic's gear? Are you optimized in your gear, and what tank are you playing? Doesn't matter. Need to know what gear you're wearing, because that's almost always the there's 2 possible answers that I could imagine, and one of them is gear related. So, I'll just cut to the chase. Let's say, for the sake of example, that your gear is... let's say that you're level 50. Okay, you play Gunbreaker and your item level is 774. Okay. If you're playing in specifically Windurst, or actually any content at max level that does not have item level syncing, which is basically all of this, then someone with a higher item level than you might eventually be able to take over just by just turning on their stance and then just going for it, because that item level does make a difference. The second option is the other tank is using their ranged attack more, because the enmity multiplier that is there can almost touch it. That is like times 7 or like around times 7. 5 to 7 depends on the tank. But point is that it's a very strong attack for enmity. They spam it a lot, you might have aggro problems. It's actually something that comes up in Savage sometimes. If boss forces my co-tank far, like away from the boss too much, Sip will use ranged attacks more, and then he'll get aggro. Because I play Paladin, I don't use Shield Lob. I will just cast Holy Spirit in that situation. And that it does half the enmity of a ranged attack, roughly, because of the multipliers being different. The other option is that the other tank just provoked. Totally possible that they just provoked. But if your gear is 774 and you're doing an alliance raid that is not current, so like level 90 or below, and your co-tank is not provoking, and they're turning on their stance like a good ways into the fight, and still over-aggroing, then there might be a rotational problem. But if it's not that, then I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell from just your statement alone. But someone that had like optimal gear at max item level and everything would be able to overtake you in enmity from a 15 item level advantage. A lot of the time when people turn on their stance mid-fight, it's after the opening burst. That's usually perfectly possible if they have a huge advantage over you that they will catch up anyway. Now, I see Team 2 is back, so let me try again. If you would like to join me for Windurst specifically, come on over to me. Let's see how many we are. I'm counting 15? Yep, 15. So we need an 8-man and a 7-man team. We're so many today. And my team can hold 2 more people. That's as many as I can bring. I think Ilana started team 2. I think it's probably best to just stay a striking job then, Cat. Makes things easier. It's also possible, as Morazane says, that it's not a problem with your enmity necessarily, as, and it's just the other tank trying to help. Cat, I think if you go striking, there we go. Is Team 2 ready? Team 2 is ready. 113. And... oh. Ugh. Here says, I still see people run away from Chantoto when she drops meteors. You can just stay at the back of her hitbox during that part. Dang it. Let me put it like this, Vahidjo. If you try to assume that the player base hasn't optimized something because the player base, like the whole whole abomination, the whole entity, the whole hive mind hasn't figured it out. And I got bad news for you. People still hide behind the rocks when Garuda hard casts Aerial Blast, which only does damage based on how many rocks there are, not whether you are or are not behind the rocks. And this fight is over a decade old, man. Why haven't they optimized it yet? Come on. Exactly, as Morazane says, pugs will always be pugs. There are still people that don't know how Belly works on Cerberus. The only time you need to hide behind the rocks on the Garuda fight is right at the start. She'll hop away, come back, and then do like a blast through the center of the arena. That one you have to hide behind the rocks for. But her actual raid-wide thing, when she jumps to the middle and is invulnerable, that one just does... the damage is entirely dictated by how many rocks are on the field. There's still people who don't know penetration caliphistry is a gaze. I actually think I've learned that it's more complicated than that. I believe penetration just shoves you forward. So, depending on where you look... Mika Konagao says, I mean, how am I supposed to know all that when nothing ever gets explained? That's exactly the point. That's precisely. How in the world are you supposed to know that Garuda Heart's Aerial Blast's damage is unrelated to the rocks when there are plenty of long-term players that legit believe that it is, so they will hide behind the rocks. Some of them will even tell you to hide behind the rocks. And they don't even know. They don't even know. How are you supposed to know? Like, you're trying your best as a new player, potentially. How should you know? And, like, one way to figure it out is you look it up and find that, oh, actually doesn't matter. Or you know someone who knows, who tells you how it actually works. Or maybe you tested it yourself. But yeah, exactly. The whole point that I was trying to make is that even if people had optimized and perfected the newest alliance raid, a really bad way to take like a test, like a little taste test to see if people figured it out, is to just queue for the newest alliance raid and go, why don't people know this stuff? It's like, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Some players learn these things, some don't. Some people go out of their way to figure it out, some don't. Yeah, also that, cat. People still don't know gets thing wrong. To be fair, on Asymmetricon on that, I learned reasonably... Like, I first learned only like a couple years ago, maybe, that penetration was a gaze mechanic. And then, like, weeks ago, I think, I learned that no, actually, it's not a gaze mechanic. It just throws you in the direction you're looking. It just so happens that a way to solve that mechanic is just don't look at it. So, again, like, exactly. Like, I learned it recently. Like, that's actually a huge advantage that I have, is that a lot of the time when I know some extremely esoteric piece of information from a duty, it's because someone corrected me. Like, we had the whole thing about the 5-headed dragon in World of Darkness, where it's like, how are you supposed to deal with this mechanic with a knock-up? Oh, well, one way to deal with it is to just have the person that is the target run away from everyone else and make space. And then I was correct, like, no, actually, the way that you're supposed to deal with it is just get frozen. Because then you can't get shoved up. And then it'll instead just remove the freeze. It's like, what? Except right at the start of Dawntrail, that mechanic was bugged, so it didn't actually protect you. Remember that? I'll say sail feed. Specifically look out and not into the AoE hammer things. Yeah, exactly. Precisely, because once you know that penetration just shoves you forward, you can use it to your advantage to shove yourself to a safe spot. Asymmetricon says, does it actually shoot you sideways if you point sideways? I don't think I've ever noticed anyone not either getting pulled in or shoved to the outside. I don't know. I'll be perfectly honest with you, Asymmetricon, that as far as I've seen, I mean, I haven't paid enough attention to notice. Katanga says, do 90% of players seek out the wider online community to get these answers? I had just assumed that Wind Blast wouldn't need the rocks because of the name. Right? Also, as Kat says, if you know how penetration works, why would you shoot yourself sideways instead of out or in? But I see, like, if someone doesn't know, it might be much more likely that it'll shoot in a random direction sometimes. Like, I get what you mean, Asymmetricon. I just also know that, as far as I've seen, the logic matches.
What echoes has Sir Eldrick conjured this time, I wonder?
Like, it checks out, as far as I can see. And
the great star tree. This must be Windust Walls.
And I will admit that if I had, like, that I don't have enough, I have not had the awareness to be able to know for sure. Because I wouldn't be looking at it if I didn't know.
Come to play? I'll put you down without
But yeah,
delay.
exactly, Kotakis. I mean, the thing is, the hiding behind the rocks thing is also, like, extremely esoteric, because at the moment where Garuda does this aerial blast, she's invulnerable, so you can't attack her anyway. and she will become attackable again within enough time that it shouldn't be a problem for you to just step out, hide behind the rocks, and come back. So most players that know that it doesn't matter, most of the players that know that it doesn't matter, knows that it doesn't matter randomly. Because they just found out that, it didn't change anything whether I was or was not behind, like in the rock, like behind the rocks. But they had the time to step out and step in again. I'll say Pranti.
Before we're through, you'll learn there's nothing I can't do.
Have care. There's no telling what shall come.
And yeah,
next.
also true. I would actually say on that, Asymmetricon, your counterpoint of I haven't seen anyone actually get shoved sideways is a very good point. That all it
Fear
takes
will not survive this without powerful healing magics.
is someone seeing that. I mean, when I look in, I get shoved in. When I look out, I get shoved out. And then someone might say A plus B equals C, and then say, oh, we'll actually get shoved in the way you're looking. And then they haven't tested enough. And I'll admit, I haven't tested enough. So you know what? We might need some more evidence to know for sure whether it's actually shoving you in the direction you're looking. Might be worth checking if looking in a random direction will shove you in that direction.
So don't expect restraint.
And then the big hard-hitting question is, does it matter? Does it? If we can shove ourselves in any direction, we could use it.
Very well.
You're talking about the eye symbol? No, I'm not. Penetration on the final boss in... Is Weeping City of Mark? Or is it Void Ark? One of them is an ability that does not have the gaze mechanic. It straight up does not have the gaze icon because, supposedly, it isn't a gaze mechanic.
Damn it. Is everyone all right?
No, I agree, Asymmetricon. At this point, the question isn't about whether it matters. It's about the truth. And obviously, we in the community are truth seekers.
Surrender, I'll allow. If
We
you
must
but give
know.
up now.
The comrade is down.
We must-
give up. Quickly. Someone
What's it?
revive
See
them.
and hear and know. We must know the truth. Ugh.
Your offenses demand consequences.
Well, your consequence is this 200k flare star. Yeah? Oops.
Too slow, I fear. You never stood a chance, my dear.
Flare play! Flarg. She's playing with fire!
I
Stop
shall
her!
stop your flame out. Another swift rout.
Yeah, I agree, Might Strife. As Strap Galaxy says, that's normal. You get into an alliance raid, you have no clue what's going on.
Perhaps you have merit after all.
I've told this before, when I put out my my Mythbuster video from a while back, that went that
like
asked the
Altogan.
question, what happens if everyone goes in the belly on Cerberus? there were comments, because I explained how to get in the belly in the first place. There were comments, at least one, that went something like, I've played since this content was actually current, so actual Realm Reborn, and I just learned how to get in the belly for the first time. Because they never needed that information before. I say, hey, Batul, hope you're doing well.
Reinforcements!
I am Will Batul. Whoa.
And now the fight begins in earnest.
I just read the thing from Paranti said on 30th with the water and fire debuffs in Dunskate, where a mentor got the mechanic completely wrong and then got mad about it when people were doing it right.
Come, dance with me, mortals.
Their leader has finally shown themselves.
A funny thing about a thing like that is also that it is one of those where either they've just completely misunderstood the mechanic, or they just decided that that's probably how it's dealt with, and then, you know, didn't actually test it. I suppose, Batul.
It appears the siege has ended. Where is Serelja hiding?
Where is Serelja hiding? No, I do not, Batul.
Are these not the undersea ruins of Al-Zadar? It can't be.
Alexander.
It's also kind of a random question to ask.
The defiant shall be judged.
Alexander.
You know what's more
So we
cursed
need
about
to
that,
play.
Mistle, is that I think these days, because of, you know, power creep and whatnot, it is possible to either straight up kill Ferdiad before he gets to that mechanic, or just tank the damage of doing the mechanic wrong. They can do. Which, like, once something like that
Is
happens,
it an echo can match the resilience of Alexander?
wrong strategies are much more likely to perpetuate because, you know, they don't get tested. Someone might get the idea that, for instance, oh, you're supposed to stand in the color that matches your debuff or something. Because, I mean, they didn't die as a result. So it must be right.
I shall burn away thy transgressions. My divine flames shall melt thy flesh.
I ended up using so many triple and swift casts earlier that I actually had to stall a bit to have the cast, or to have a swift cast for my Blizzard 3.
Immutable, indestructible, impervious, immortal.
I'd expect nothing less of such a deity.
Bro, really? Man! I straight up call shenanigans. I pull up the red card and say shenanigans.
Wish for eternity, yearn for immortality. Sense thy transience, know thy insignificance.
Hey, Thrill House! Hope you're doing well.
Still standing in the face of his
I'm glad to hear that, I think.
Well done. A comrade is down. Someone revive them.
You can take one.
A comrade is in trouble. Someone heal them.
Ow. All right, Batul. I think it's you out of the pool right now. You have acquired my attention, but not in the way you actually want it.
Well, if even the stalwart defenses of Alexander cannot stop us, I say we press on. The Garden of Roulettes. And that means...
Oh, too slow. I had a suspicion that they were a bot already, because they just said okay, regardless of what the answer was. Or if there was an answer. And they never once actually included anything that I said in their follow-ups. And then they start peddling a community server and stuff. Come on. What's the point? Just wasting people's time.
That's the last of them. There is no foe Sorelja can conjure that I have not already vanquished. The Twilight God?
Candy says, with people enjoying NPCs commenting on what happens in the fights from the Arcadian on this raid, I feel like it might end up being standard going forward if they can make it not seem too forced. I agree.
Hold nothing back.
I think it would be nice. I do think that it is really funny that only in this Alliance Raid series is there an NPC that tells you, by the way guys, someone needs to get raised. Feel like that would be, you know,
the emptiness threatens to spread.
More fitting to have in like a low level duty. Now that would be opti for low level players to learn. Have a guy just telling them, you need to heal now, you need to rest now.
The reign of Twilight is inevitable.
But I also think, just in extension of that, that the amount of positive feedback that have come from bosses in general having voice lines, I am sure has been part of what has motivated to have more of that. Like, remember that before Endwalker, it was actually pretty special that our boss had had voice lines with, like, first of all, had voice lines in a raid, like voiced lines, and then I'm gonna go over here. Then we, like, with Shadowbringers, we started to see bosses with voice, like final bosses, pretty much, with voice lines.
Been swallowed by the emptiness.
Then
The darkness of man's heart made manifest.
Endwalker tested the waters with, what if we had every boss in a raid tier have voice lines? What about that? And that also had positive response, right? And
I won't give in.
then, well, Dawntrail went, what if every boss had voice lines? And again, positive.
Oh, Altana, I beg your grace once more. So long as I hold faith in my comrades and they in me, darkness shall find no purchase in my heart.
Darkness.
It's taking the
Ooh,
darkness into
darkness.
itself.
Our farewell shall be forever.
The Twilight God could never. What has Sorelja done?
And I think that has also helped Amanis, that they've kind of figured out a reasonable sweet spot for how many and when you put voice lines, so that you don't get the You don't get the overspam of sloppy or what does Regula says? By the will of the Emperor! In the name of the Emperor! Herpaturb Emperor! Run! Sloppy? I mean, Sloppy is hilarious. It's just, it's really funny that the Griffin goes like almost every attack he has plays like a random thing, and then some of them does specific things.
Desire, hunger for the end of mortality.
Careful, lest the darkness take you.
O star, descend from the heavens, I beseech thee.
The greed! The dash in at the very last moment. At this point, anyone speaking mid-fight is a meme? The boss is speaking mid-fight? Right. Well, all I'm saying to that is that a way to make a fight really memorable, just in general, turns out to be, uh-oh. Oh, no, we are on the right side. Never mind, and I managed to get hit anyway. Is to just give them voice lines, because people will remember them just by virtue of the voice line. I made a video about that back in Endwalker. And one criticism I gave of Shinryu and Nidhogg, less Nidhogg, a lot more Shinryu, was that they didn't have speakable voice lines, which made them less memorable as a result. The fights are memorable, but they lost some memorability points by virtue of well, I certainly can't see that. Although I have recently learned of "My name's Kyle" from Nidhogg. Thank you, Erdl. That's what he says when he comes down in the Estinian mode. My name is Kyle. Except what he actually says is something. Is that a hole in the middle of the floor? That's correct, and that's another arena. And Shinryu, on the other hand, just says rawr, 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 rawr. Thy final versus song is what he says when he dives. That's correct, but he says it in dragon speak. So he says it differently. But that's what it means, what he says. And it does matter whether the line is in a language you can understand or not.
Shinryu. Divine dragon.
Perfection.
To Vanadil's twin.
Evacuate the ley lines.
So, World Destroyer wouldn't be an exaggeration for this one. Well, that's just one.
Alright, says, I hear more. I am named Kyle. I mean, close enough. I couldn't remember it exactly. The reason why I noticed it at all is because I saw people mention it. Again, me saying I know these weird things because people tell me these things. I'm like, for instance, I think "and my name's Kyle" or whatever he says came from me asking what people hear when they hear the alarm in Castrum. Someone was like, well, I don't hear that, but I do hear this.
Oh no. Someone's down. Can anyone revive them? Never thought I'd see a god that'd give Promathia a run for his money.
Promathia assumed this form after its resurrection. Now I suppose you would have no way of knowing.
Twilight Nebula! Bam! Starflare! Ah!
Shinryu has already brought ruin to one world. We cannot let it come to another.
Not a chance. Let's kick this thing's scaly ass.
I'm sure you did fine, professionals.
What the hell was that?
Haha!
Has Sorelja finally prepared the
Home
vessel for
cooked
his king?
cutscene skip. What do you think? Thank you for your contribution, Kat. I think I manipped to you.
Did he just...
You will have done well, Sorelja.
Teach me these tricks. Oh, I just realized the the dialogue is over my hotbar. So the trick is to have yourself stuck in a quote-unquote cutscene when the cutscene starts by getting thrown off. So you have to dash over the circle as the cutscene is sent. And last time it happened to me is because someone rescued me into the hole right in time. So now I know that it is an option. Yes, I did forever. I have seen that. Or rather, I have seen the evidence of it.
That's enough!
Ow!
Insolence! You dare defy me!
You dare block my attack? How could you?
I'll show! I'll show!
Don't you worry about me, Prish. I'll see this adventure to its conclusion.
Ow.
Face the king's judgment!
Face the king's judgment. I judge you with this slash and blast.
My word is absolute!
My word is a non-negative number.
I will not be denied!
Ooh, that looked like it hurt. Hang in there.
The brain rot speech? What? Oh yeah, I mean, in a way, you definitely didn't change your word right then. Wow, what a mechanic. You really got me there, buddy. Take this! Just doesn't move an inch. Miss.
A truly mighty blow. The adventurers of your world are extraordinary indeed.
Oh, now I understand. For some reason I thought the Gen Z version of this boss? But now I realize people are talking about Praetorium. I think we're faster than us. Let's see, 32 minutes. I think it is. Finished 5 minutes ago? I don't know. Did we sit in queue for 5 more minutes? Don't be like that, procrastinauts. I'm sure you did fine. Progressnote says, I think I managed to not die on one of the bosses, so that's something. I think we had people that died on every boss here as well. I wasn't checking, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, I think a major component to it as well can be that just among the party we brought, anyone that is from the raid team might have, like, above average item level on gear, potentially. I do believe we're at a point where it's very likely that most players that wanted it could have, like, fully upgraded totem gear. But that doesn't mean that everyone has it. And that helps a lot. And then also, you know, 8 community versus 7. I guess 8 because Procrastinator was there as well. So, but I was there. And I, of course, am paying very close attention. I totally didn't make any mistakes at all. Or saying, is this your first maintenance mode? Wait before a major expansion? Are you asking me? You can, if you open the channel, you just click on, like, just open a new tab with my channel, that, like, in the bottom left of your screen. Just open the channel, go to the videos, and then sort, like flip the sort to show oldest. And then you probably have the answer to that. Thank you, Mistel. Indeed, I had a classroom in my old house as well. Never mind the 15 years of WoW in your channel description, right? Shadowring as Gen player. No, that's when I started making videos. I came into the game in 4.0. And I know that for a fact because my first job was Summoner. And when I got into the game, it didn't have the ability Sustain, which was removed with 4.0 and reinstated in like 4.1. What? What do you mean, Louis? Did you experience Raban Extreme? I did not, but I heard the stories from my free company. I believe Raban Extreme was like only really a thing in like the first days of Stormblood, and considering I got into the game in Stormblood, you can imagine that I was not level 60 in time. But yeah, originally my first experience of Final Fantasy XIV was that I saw the game existed. I believe around Heavensward I was aware that it existed. I looked up a video on Ninja because that looked very interesting. And the video I found was basically someone who was like giving some advice on the job. And the long story short is that all I remember is that they were complaining about how janky the job was. I was like, oh. Maybe not then. And then I remember the game existed once again right around Stormblood launch. When I saw, oh, you can be Red Mage. Awesome, I want to be a Red Mage. And when it comes to Final Fantasy games, the ones that I've played before 14 was 7, 1 and 2, and technically it seems some of 10-2, because my brother had that one. Also seen some of 12, and I played a lot of Tactics Advance. A lot of Tactics Advance. And Dual Cast in that game almost felt like the funny thing is that it's not that special. It's just you can cast 2 spells in one turn, but it was like one of very few actions that basically had its sort of like its own extra quote-unquote UI element, because you cast it and then you chose 2 spells, whereas most other actions you just click and fire, right? So it was like, ah, Red Mage, that's awesome. No FF10 mention? Well, I said 10 too. Hey, Chloe! Hope you're doing well. And you'll get it soon, then. Be a Red Mage is like... one of the most Final Fantasy jobs to me, especially with the whole dual cast thing to them. Because, like, sure, Black Mage and White Mage are, like, oh, very unique. Except, like, White Mage is the classic cleric, right? And Black Mage is, like, the classic wizard. So Red Mage is, like, you know, there are, you know, jack of all trades kind of classes in fantasy in general. But the particularness of the Final Fantasy version, which is Red Mage, is very, very specific, and it just does something that makes it stand out. So this is my first FF was technically 4, but the first one I finished was 13. The first Final Fantasy game I finished was Tactics Advance, and even that one I came back years later. We got really close in 7, and I say we because it was my brother and I shared save. But the Tonberries were too hard, man. For 2 kids that didn't understand English, not really. If White Mage was a cleric, it would be running around in full plate with a Morningstar meleeing things. That's a very specific type of cleric, I think. Name Imsy. Hope you're doing well. And I'm glad my guides helped you, and I hope you enjoy your journey. We're not exactly in a spoilery area, we're just in a housing district. We're doing any more duties. But thank you. I always do say some people are afraid of giving positive feedback because they think they're wasting people's time. Let's just say that the negative feedback does not care about that. So always remind your favorite content creators that you do like their stuff. They might not answer, but they do appreciate it. And some of them might answer. Who knows? Maybe that's the day that someone with a million subscribers or something just go, oh, well, you know what? Your particular comment really made their day. So you might as well. Thank you, Kat. Thank you so much. Thank you for the 29 months. And thank you for the resub, Ilana. Ah, yes, the cat emote from the other day. Goku says, I can't flex. Ah, have you already done it for this month? Mizunashi says, I imagine the way you killed the Tonberries in Stranger of Paradise must have been very therapeutic. You know, the funny thing is, my first experiences of fighting the Tonberries was fighting them a lot more head-on. It was only later down the line that I had the revelation of, oh. Like, I can't remember if it was myself or I saw someone do it, but I specifically remember going, oh. You can just tornado them into the wall. And thank you for the 15 months, Ilana. Thank you. You know, I am surprised sometimes. I was like, what? Not longer? Oh, I could have sworn. Crab Galaxy says in 7, I would just run away from the Tonberries. You know, I don't actually know why we didn't just do that. Spin to win tactics? No, not even that, Louis. What you would do in Stranger of Paradise, but by the way, guys, we haven't played Stranger of Paradise. Hidden Gem, it's fun. The post game is a little weird, but the story part of the game is fun. It's very good. That one I can definitely agree with. The post game is a little more. It's more of a specific kind of player I think would enjoy. But Tonberries in Stranger of Paradise, I believe it is technically survivable to get stabbed by them through weird means, but long story short is that they're knife one-shots. They have other attacks and they hurt like a ton, but they're knife one-shots generally. So most melees are scared of getting up close, which massively reduces your ability to attack, because even wizards, even mages, have to like get up and smack to get MP back in that game. Just parry. I guess you could also do that. Yeah, just parry it. Parry it! Mael coming in from the side. We thought we were done with Expedition 33, but no, actually Mael coming in like, parry it! Doink! And then you die. And like, just not got into melee range. Should have known. Should have known. But what you can do is the basic mage, like a starter class that you get within like the first 10 minutes of play, can cast Aero, or rather Aeroga, I believe. You just charge up and then just send it, and that just summons a tornado on the Tonberry, and the Tonberry is not resistant to getting shoved into the air. So the tornado will just grab them and just carry them in the air, and while the Tonberry is in the air, it can't do anything. And when the tornado ends, the Tonberry goes down on their butt. No, Aeroga, Coco. And before it can get up again, you can just cast Aeroga again. And if it gets carried all the way to a wall, it'll get wall banged, which does extra damage. So it'll just go until it gets broken, and then you can just walk up to it and just place your hand gently on its head and kill it. So basically cheese strat. There are later Tonberries that are placed in odd angles or with an entourage and things like that to make it harder for you to do it, but ultimately it works, and most of its entourage are also susceptible to be grabbed by a tornado. So pretty cheesy. And it's not the only way to do it, it's just that there is no excuse if you're like, well, I can't beat a Tonberry. Yes, you can. You can do it. YOU can do it. You can defeat a Tonberry. All you need to do is have a mace. Then you choose mage, and then you just go like twice. And then it's over. And they're like loot pinatas, so you kind of want to do it. Enjoy work now. Andy says, I know 11 has a Tonberry hate system, but I can't remember what other Final Fantasy games do. I think most Final Fantasy games with Tonberries have some sort of hate system. In 14, the closest they have to a hate system is that the specific Tonberry boss has a mechanic where it gets stronger if you kill the other Tonberries in the boss fight. Alright, Mistle, enjoy your evening. In Strange of Paradise, so the thing that typically calls upon the Tonberry hate system, I believe, is a mechanic that is typically referred to as everyone's grudge. And Strange of Paradise Tonberries do have that spell. It's just that in that game, the way it works is that it casts everyone's grudge, and then it summons like a black hole looking thing above it, and it just like shoots out small like spirits in all directions, especially your direction, and they do like a third of your health per hit. It like, I don't even know if there's a hate system. It doesn't need one. It's already doing too much damage. And the only thing, like, you could parry it, or you could hide behind something. And when you parry it with a specific soul parry thingy in Strange of Paradise, you can get everyone's grudge and shoot it back. The difference is that when you shoot it, it's just like one shotgun fire of just... And it doesn't do that much damage in my experience, so... Maybe there is something. Maybe it has to be a Tonberry. I'll say Caetsu. But what's really... The thing is, most Final Fantasy games, as you know, are single-player experiences. So the amount of kills you've had throughout the game are, like, reasonable to a degree. You will eventually complete the game, so a mechanic that is scaled based on how many things you've killed will stay somewhat reasonable. But in 11, I do believe that the Tonberries have this hate system, and it does in fact mean that they will do more damage based on how many things you have killed, if not specifically Tonberries. Which, it's an MMO. Which I believe is the reason why 14 does not have that, because they know that that would get really, really weird really quickly. Anyway, We did the dailies and we got the weekly. So I think this is a pretty good place to round up the stream. So, if you would like to be part of the Discord community server, there's a link right there in the chat. There you'll find the weekly schedule where you can see what else is coming up in the coming days. Usually updates Sunday or Monday. You'll also find the announcement room with links to videos and streams when I put them out. And if you grab the reminder role in the role assignments room, you get a notification whenever I post a video stream. So as the next run around 15 minutes before stream starts, you can catch it right when we go live. And if you'd like to support the channel more directly, you can like over on the YouTube side of things, you know, help with the algorithm. Follow, subscribe, become a member, super chat, cheer, all of that stuff helps. Very much appreciated. And if you don't like any of it, there's also the did we lose Aradil? I've got it. Pew. The Ko-Fi link, where you can also support the channel. It also helps support me in the channel directly, so I can do stuff like this with all of you without having to worry about algorithms and whatnot. So thank you so much for the support. But that'll be it from me tonight. So let's see if we can rate somebody. Blueson doing top. Wow. That could work. Sure. But in that case, good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where in the world, and hope to see you all very soon. Bye-bye!